What art ministry is, if you think of it like music ministry enhances worship, and that's what we try to do. We just use a different dimension to do it. So our job is to create graphic and visual and decorative art that enhances worship. Our main areas of work are the sanctuary and the narthex, and we do very large scale projects. Our sanctuary is about 50 feet wide, 71 feet long. It's 18 feet to the cornice, which you'll see, and then about 26 feet to the arched roof. We have a 12 by 16 foot stained glass image of Jesus in the front, and then we have 8 windows, 4 on each side, tall windows on each side of the sanctuary. A lot of churches do, in a way, do art ministry, but they do video, they do some digital things, they do, you project hymn lyrics on for people to read. Those things are all temporal. They're there and then they're gone. We're producing art that stays. Other churches might hire people to do this or, purchase some paraments. We're an in-house team. We're there all, this is what we're committed to. I think we're a little bit unique in that regard. The way we work is we will have a kind of a concept session. It's rather informal, but we've all gotten to know each other well enough that we can kind of improvise together. So a concept session based on, scriptural focus. From there we'll go into a planning phase and then execution. Once we have done that, we sometimes recruit people on a temporary basis to come help us. Some of the projects are bigger than others. So I'm just going to start and show you some of the installations. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start by showing you the finished installation. Then I'm going to go through, sort of backtrack, go through some steps of what it took to, some of the thought that went into it, what it took to put it together. And then I'll end by showing you the finished installation again, which hopefully will give you a different understanding. Now, this is our sanctuary, bare. Okay, this is kind of what it looks like. It's this overall beige, and we don't dislike it. It's interesting though, when we started this ministry, a lot of people didn't like the idea of adornments and decoration and just rather assertive art going up during worship services. But some of those same people have become our greatest defenders and promoters. So this is our sanctuary. And I'm going to start with World Communion Sunday. World Communion Sunday is the first Sunday in October. It's when several denominations, including Presbyterian, around the world celebrate communion together, and it just signifies our interconnectedness across denominations, across national boundaries. And what we're seeing here are 2 8-foot diameter world globes, Eastern and Western Hemisphere. And what's on those globes are handprints, and I'll zoom in a little bit to show you how that was done. Okay? So what we did was we set up a table in Fellowship Hall where we have a coffee hour. And we invited people to come and make handprints on these white sheets, sort of a fabric-type tablecloth. And of course the kids loved it. But everybody in the congregation was sort of invited to become part of the worship environment, essentially, to help create it. Here we are, going through the process, and so what we've done here is, cut out a large sheet. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of projects here, which I'm going to tell you are made of corrugated cardboard. This is one of them. Not that it's all about, the money, but a lot of churches don't have much. We operate for about $2,000 a year, which covers everything, and we like to think we can do some pretty good things with very humble means. So this is corrugated cardboard. That's it was a plywood circle that we cut 8 feet in diameter. This was kind of a modification we made because, we made it on cardboard first. Those are the light blue is actually cardboard, 4 by 8 foot sheets. And then they kind of wore out after a couple of years. We transferred it to plywood. That's what we're doing there. We had to make it in hinged in the middle because an 8-foot round thing just won't go through a door. So, and it's something you have to think about. You know, it's something that, and there's stuff that's come up that we haven't thought about, and you know, it's comes back and bites you, and then we modify it and go on. So that's kind of a close-up. And the handprints, you know, would just signify this interconnectedness. And that, again, is the final installation. So this is World Communion Sunday. Now, of course, you know, World Communion Sunday is one day. You know, it's one Sunday. We do store these. We bring it back the next year, and you know, we occasionally make modifications to our installations. But this is another what we did. This was World Communion Sunday also, but it was the PCUSA symbol that we did, and again had a kind of a handprint exercise. These are what, 8 by 12 feet? They're about 8 by 12 feet. Those are the back wall of the sanctuary. The interesting thing that we learned is we learned about scale. You know, these don't look like out of proportion. You know, when you stand next to them, they're pretty big. But in a sanctuary that size, not everybody has a sanctuary that size. And I'll go into, you know, what can we do? You know, not everybody has a sanctuary this size. Not everybody has a church that can afford anything or that will even allow this. But there's other things, you know, other ways to approach this. Oh, and we always do a parament for the pulpit and the lectern that goes, you know, something to accompany the installations that we do. Now, this was our first major installation. Now, this is 2011. This is Advent. Okay, we used purple as the liturgical color of Advent. I learned about liturgical colors. I just didn't know. There's a lot of things going on here that maybe you don't see. We've embedded a lot of infrastructure and cables and hanging type things that we were able to do. So the paper and the organza really gave it kind of an ethereal quality. We get a light. One of the things we learned is that we get this play of light and shadow on the walls, which was a surprise to us. But it's nice to discover those things. This is our first. Now, this is how we used to work back then. Was climbing extension ladders and using a lot of muscle. And this was before we came up with clever ideas like embedding screws in the cornice and then attaching magnets to our fabric and just kind of lifting it up there with poles. So these are sort of evolutionary. And that's Dave, in case you don't recognize him from the back. And this is some of the side. You can see the side windows. These are, you know, the side, again, paper hangings. This, after a couple of years, the paper was looking kind of beat up because paper is like that. And so we switched to purple satin, which looks better, hangs better, and it's sturdier. That's cardboard. This is the front of the satin. As you can see, it's a little different because fabric behaves differently than paper. We were able to do some different things. But we decided, if you remember I was talking about scale, to us this looked a little bit small. And so we came up with this, which to me this all just kind of says Advent to me. It's grand, it's uplifting. People really responded well to this. The color at the darkest time of the year just kind of reminds us that God's with us all the time, no matter what, even when, you know, the sun's going down at 3 o'clock. I'm going to talk about this for 1 minute, okay? Because we argued about whether even to include this. These are chrismons. There's a dove, a chalice, a lamb, a fish, a cross, and the three-part trefoil. Yeah. All made of cardboard. Now you can see this is made of cardboard, but these things were murder to put together, to design, and to cut and to fit together like that. We had a little help from a computer, but still, you know, that's a bunch of work. And this gives you an idea of the scale. So we worked for quite a few weeks on these, and when we were done, we looked at it and we said, it just doesn't look good. And we never used it again. Because the Advent is so soft and kind of a glow. These were a little bit too industrial looking. I know I like the cross, but the other things were just, I don't know, they're sort of mechanical looking. So you kind of, I've been a commercial artist, as Joycey was telling you, for long. I'm used to throwing away my work. That's, 95% of what I've proposed just gets nixed by a client. So to me, it's nothing to just trash artwork, but, for some people, it's a little bit more of an emotional deal than that. And this is just to kind of show that we are, in fact, working with corrugated cardboard. Following Advent, now this is Lent. Okay, you asked about Lent. Now, I think you saw on the first slide I showed the stained glass window up front. That is covered in black. The sanctuary is darkened. What we did our first year of Lent was, for the 6 weeks, we would put a layer of black muslin over that window and close one set of windows. And then the following week, put another layer, because muslin will let some light through. And then close another set of windows, well, you can't see it in this picture. There's black, you can see it in the front window. There's a black drape or purple drape going around the window. All the side windows are treated that way. Until by, the 6th week, that window was black. You didn't get any light through it, and we put up that satin cross. So this was a 6-week process, and then Easter morning, as part of when the service starts, we drop that curtain, we open the shutters. At this point, you need to get about 10 or 12 people involved to get this all done. You open the shutters, you drop that, the place just lights up, and this is what you get. Some people loved this so much that they were just moved to tears. Other people really hated it. So much so that, that the idea of the sanctuary being darkened, they did not come to church during Lent. Okay? They came back, I'm happy to say, but people had really strong emotional reactions. Because of that, we were sort of asked to, can we do this a little differently? Can we not just wreck people? So we do it now. We kind of cover everything on Good Friday, or on the Palm Passion Sunday the week before, and then so we don't, bruise people. As you can see, there are also the things that are hanging are mobiles. Well, let me just show you this first. That's also Easter. And when I was talking a minute ago about, not everybody has a giant sanctuary, but I bet everybody has a communion table. And, with somebody who knows fabric, like Anne, who can, just get, it's not to make it act like that. That's not an enormous amount of work or commitment. Here we are. These are, I don't know if you can tell, these are mobiles. Those are origami doves. The mobiles are about 10 feet across, and these sort of offset the dark Lent installation, where each week we take one of these mobiles, we have it out in the narthex. As people come in, we have an assortment of pens and markers. You can write prayers on the doves, and we bring it into the sanctuary so that when the service starts, when they do prayers to the people, these are lifted, they're raised to the roof. And so at the end of 6 weeks, we have 6 of those hanging. This is, I won't talk about this too much. This is, we tend to change things from year to year because we get bored. And so this was a 14 or 16 foot cross, also constructed, that's a very heavy cardboard called falcon board. That was constructed of cardboard, fabric is stretched over it, and this was eventually mounted on the back wall. 3 of them were mounted on the back wall. Now, I want to talk about Pentecost. This is probably our most ambitious, most over-the-top thing. Now, this was our first year doing Pentecost. What you're seeing here really didn't work, and I'll show you why. Now, we painted, we got these triangular pieces of cloth. We painted them. But when we put them on poles and put them in our sort of built-in pole holders, first of all, they all kind of leaned over. You couldn't see what was happening up front, and you had to walk through it. So it wasn't exactly what we wanted. So the year after that, what we did was we hung them upside down. We are blessed to have a catwalk. Now you can see there's a kind of a barrel-shaped ceiling. Above that ceiling there is a walkway. You can get up there. You have to be a little athletic. You have to go up a ladder and through a door that's about this big. And from there we have something up there which is sort of resembles fishing poles. It's a reel with cables that we can hang a number of different things on. So all the work happens down here, and then we raise it up. Again, that's nylon organza around the main window. And the year after this, we added to this, and what we did was we created these. We call them medallions. It's a hanging, and what we did was stretch canvas over those round World Communion Sunday circles, and painted these doves with scripture. This was done in Photoshop. We put this together in Photoshop. Did an old-fashioned, pencil grid system to transfer it to a large canvas. And about 6 of us gathered in the sanctuary on a Saturday morning, with pizza and music, and we painted these things. People are afraid to join art ministry because they think they're not creative, which is nonsense. Because God is the creator, and He created us in His image. So just the logic, it's therefore we're creative. What they mean is they're afraid they're not draftsmen, okay? And that's okay because we have all kinds of people. Nevertheless, it doesn't hurt to have, someone who can draw on the team to come up with something like this. Here you can see how they're constructed. This is not on plywood, this is on a tubular aluminum frame, which Dave designed. And you kind of lace it like a bicycle wheel. What it hung by, you have to have, pulleys and wires, and everything has to be keyed to what you're doing. I remember once we dropped something that a rope broke. It's a good thing nobody was under it. It was, it wouldn't have been good. This is our paint setup. This is an image that we will never show the organist. Okay? This is. There would be no point. Yeah, but we get these gallon bottles of acrylic and lots of brushes, and don't overlook the fellowship opportunities for something like this. To spend a day doing something, and one of the nice bonuses is that a couple of the people who were really afraid, what do you mean we're going to be painting? We're going to be drawing? What do you mean? They were terrified, and what was nice was that being walked through the process, they felt really differently when we were done. So that's a nice thing that happens. This is further development on Pentecost. I think we figured out there's about 200 yards of fabric there, something like that. And again, it's raised up to the ceiling from above, from the catwalk. There was so much of this red fabric in the sanctuary that it actually changes the light, changes the color of the sanctuary. And Pentecost is as it should be. It's over the top, it's joyous, it's overwhelming. This is how we think of Pentecost. And I want to show one more major two actually. I haven't done stewardship yet. This is ordinary time. Ordinary time is a little bit difficult to deal with because there isn't really any imagery that goes with it. And so what we wanted to do was use the color of ordinary time, which is green, and somehow bring the outside inside. The goal was to create kind of a natural environment, a forest, something like that. These are all tie-dyed banners, and again hung from the ceiling. This is some of the cloth that's been tied and ready, and we mixed. Anne and her crew mixed their dye in garbage cans. And this is one of the hangings. You'll notice there's a cross stitched in. I didn't even know you could stitch designs into tie-dye, but apparently you can. And that's a matching communion table cloth, seat covers. We have all kinds of stuff that we had left over from. Now, this is our catwalk. And if you look really hard, you can see the curve of the ceiling below it. And a lot of people don't like to go up there. I don't know why. It's kind of scary. But from there, we can hang just about anything we want within reason. You know, it's a strong enough structure. This is an alternate installation for ordinary time. These are banners, scripture banners that are based on the ministry of Jesus. And you know, some of the work we do has this kind of explicit scripture in it. Some does not. These were a set of 16 banners. Some of the images were pulled from, you know, these were sketched out, basically. You know, they're sketched out. Some of the images are taken from old masters' paintings and kind of cobbled together. The long narrow is kind of a hard space to compose if you do any artwork. But from there, you know, again, we kind of built these images, and this is probably the first thing we had produced commercially. We had it done at Staples to print out these banners. This is stewardship. Now, stewardship is a year-round activity, but we have kind of a 6-week campaign that's focused on it in the fall. And what we did was we designed 6 banners, hangings, which highlight the six areas of ministry, like community involvement, Christian education, music and art, mission. Created these banners and put up one per week. Okay, so for each of the 6 weeks. So this one, here's the first one that went out worship. There's a matching banner in the back of the sanctuary, and they're connected by an 80-foot streamer. Also, now this is gossamer. Gossamer is a fabric, but it acts like paper. As you can see, you know, we've cut stencils in it. Right? We had to kind of design the typeface so that pieces wouldn't hang off, you know, and flip around. We were mostly successful. And this is, you know, when you put the 2 up the following week, and here we are kind of cutting our fingers, as well as there's Band-Aids and things going on there. You know, we stress that you should not bleed on the artwork. That's one of the rules. Okay. Here's the matching parament, and again, that's the final installation. The 80-foot streamers are braided, which kind of suggests the interconnectedness of how these ministries all work together and support each other. I'm going to just show you, these are all the major installations. As I said, not everybody has a huge sanctuary. I want to show you a few of our small portable installations. And a lot of these, what I'm about to show you, is meant for the kids. Our kids have a very important role in creating our worship environment. They're involved with interactive services. They will lead. They will be liturgists, and I mean like kids, you know, not teenagers. So this is our Advent calendar, which you can't get an idea of the scale here, but that's about 8 feet wide, 5 feet high. It's 16 inches deep. These are made out of boxes that we got from Staples, and each one is a box that will open. It's got a number on the front, and it forms an image on the back. And inside the box is either a scripture or a piece of the creche. And during the service, the kids would come up and either deliver this piece of the creche and start assembling it, or deliver the scripture. This is King David. He's about 8 feet tall. He's cardboard. And there was a sermon series one summer where the kids would come up each week and pin something to him. You know, like the sling or the broken heart, the crown. And the sermons would, you know, take a chapter from the life of David, and this was their role in it. There's our Chrismon lamb, who was, repurposed. This is a burning bush for a Moses thing. And this is what we do for when there's baptisms. You know, and this we can put together in about 20 minutes. So when there's a baptism, we have this, the jugs and this symbolic water put together. And and that was just to show. This is just to show some communion table work, which again very simple but effective.